We got people joining on Periscope.
A lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, traveling and all that. Hello, everyone. I don't see any names I recognize yet on Periscope, but that's okay. Hi, my loves. How are you? Let me grab my tea. Hold on. All right. We're gonna have a little cozy, intimate group. Yay! We have like 20 people on Periscope, 4 people in here. It's all evens out, right? I love it. Oh, thank God. Hi guys, hello everyone on Periscope. Alright, so before we officially start, we're going to begin with just a meditation just to get ourselves centered into the groove for the hour ahead. So just placing both feet on the floor, getting into a relaxed seat. And for anyone watching on Periscope, you can get into this relaxed seat as well, or just be mindfully present with us if you're in the car or wrapping up dinner, whatever it may be. And for those of you sitting, place your hands in your lap, palms facing up, and starting to draw the breath in through the nose and out through the nose. We're just breathing in calm and exhaling out any stress from the day, any worry, any disease. And just continue this breath deep in from the nose. You want to draw the breath in from the diaphragm, in from the core, really tapping into your full resources. And then exhaling out through the nose, again, taking your time. Let the breath slowly exhale out so it can remove any impurities, anything that you're still holding on to. Let the breath carry it away. And just continue this motion of in and out, bringing in peace, letting go of anything that feels like disruption. Allowing ourselves to be more present, allowing our thoughts to float away, and just connect to the breath. Connect to your seat. Connect to being present. Allowing yourself to let go even more as you set your intention for this evening to being open to something else, to exploring a new concept, to inviting in change for the betterment of your life. What brought you to this seat today? And as you continue to breathe in, giving your body the care that it needs, releasing anything that no longer serves it, I want you to take in a sense of gratitude for yourself, for showing up today, for being open, for wanting more. Continuing to draw the breath in, really feeling the expansion of your body, your belly opening up with this air, directing it where it needs the most love. And with the exhale, releasing, feeling the body shrink back down, giving way to all that was heavy. Continuing this rhythm, continuing to relax, being more open and present with every breath cycle. And one last time, breathing in through the nose, holding the breath, holding the space together. And deeply releasing out, exhaling the breath, letting it all go. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, coming back into the space. Gorgeous. So, welcome, Miracle Monday. I am not Anne-Marie, our regular teacher this evening. I'm Danielle Mercurio. I am a gypsy of all trades. I do transformational coaching, astrology, tarot, Kundalini yoga, and meditation. If it's spiritual, like, I'm all about it. I'm basically, like, my orientation is by spiritually curious. Like, bring it on, right? And so, Course in Miracles has always been a fascinating text in my life. It's something that came to me a couple of years ago, and you know, when Anne-Marie asked me to fill in for her, of course my first thought was yes, because when you get asked to do something, you show up for it, right? When an opportunity comes your way, you don't second guess it. You say yes and you figure out how later. And so then I was in that space of figuring out how. And I was like, you know, I don't dive into the course the way that Anne-Marie does, or Bridget, who taught here before. I haven't read the teacher's manual. Should I really be doing this miracle night? Or maybe I'll just change it and make it astrology, because that's what I know, right? And I'll just tell them about that. And I thought about it further, and it was like, no, like, you're going to do this evening in the way that miracle speaks to you. You're going to speak in a way that is relatable to what your skill set is and what your gifts are and your interpretation. And further, you're going to allow something better than you come through anyway, and that's going to speak, and it's not really about me anyway. I know I've told Karen before. It's not about you, and that's what this is. You know, and that's with any opportunity that you get in your life, where you hesitate at first, realize you were chosen for a reason, you were asked for a reason, and it has nothing to do with you. So you just need to show up and realize whatever needs to come through will. So, but that being said, I still had to prepare, and so I was thinking about, you know, how do I want to do this? And I was like, well, as I mentioned, I love any kind of spiritual modality. I teach Kundalini yoga. I love making things relatable for people. I love taking what I interpret from the cosmos and teaching it out to others and making it something that they can apply in their everyday life. So I'm like, that's what I'm going to do with all of this. I'm going to take what I love of Kundalini, take what I love of A Course in Miracles, and blend it together for you all. So Kundalini is a yoga, but it goes beyond that. It's beyond just the physical movement of moving your body as we know in traditional yogas. It's about blending together the mind, body, and spirit. And it's based upon these teachings from Yogi Bhajan, who brought this to our U.S. at a time when our population needed it most. We were ready for change. And that's around the same time that the Course in Miracles, the metaphysical texts, came to be as well. And the reason why Yogi Bhajan brought in these Kundalini principles to help us enhance our mind, body, and spirit, and the reason why, you know, a Foundation for Inner Peace was created to help channel, you know, the messages of God and love in a new way, were because they were preparing us for this quote-unquote new age. You know, we've heard of this age of Aquarian that came into be, and, you know, in the musical Hair, they sang it in the 70s, right? This is the age of Aquarius. What did that all mean? Why were they preparing us for this quintessential new age? Well, what this new age is actually the now age. It's where we are now, and it's this time of awakening. So I got to bring in astrology somehow, right? So basically, the constellations, so we don't actually follow the constellations in our astrological signs per se, but the constellations move across our universe in about 2,000 year span, 2,000 to 2,500 years. It moves from constellation to constellation, and it moves in a retrograde fashion. So at the time of Jesus, we had the age of Pisces, and it stemmed all the way through, in my mind, until about 2 years ago. 2012 is when we made the shift from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. So the age of Pisces was about this idea that we look for the teacher outside of us. When we seek to know more, we will find someone to teach us. We will find the mentors. We will find the people to tell us what it is that we need to do. They will make the rules for us. They will lay out everything, and we just have to absorb it and follow it, and we will be fine. And that is how the world has worked for the last 2,000 years. But then what happened was, around the time of the 70s, 60s, 80s, there were people that were like, wait, the age is going to change. We're going to be moving into the age of Aquarian. And the age of Aquarian is a little bit different than the age of Pisces. The age of Aquarian is about the teacher actually isn't outside of you at all. The teacher is within. And so when you seek to know something, look within and you'll find the answer. Now that's not to say that there aren't mentors and teachers out there at this time, but the role models in your life or the people that you find, the reason that they are here is to help you find your own teacher. To not be someone I follow them or I put them up on a pedestal or they are going to tell me what to do and I will follow it and then I will be happy and then I will be full of love and I will have peace and all of this. No, it's the people are meant to be a guide, to show you the way, to show you something greater, for you to take that on and interpret it in your own way, in your own best self. And so a lot of the teachers, a lot of people that are coming to be in this Aquarian age or had kind of started the foundation of all of this, were doing it with the principles so that we could start to take them on ourselves, start to interpret them in our own way, and realize that that is not only okay, but it is necessary. It is necessary for us to take this on in our own light. It is necessary for us to translate what we're feeling in a way that feels really good for us and can teach us and can awaken our own souls. So the age of Aquarian is more of the age of awakening, and it is what we are in right now. And so with all that being said, we take the teachings that we have come to find recently, and now we use them in a way to help better our own betterment. So Yogi Bhajan brought what is called the 5 sutras of the Aquarian age. And they are, the first one is, understand that the times need compassion or you will misunderstand the times. The second one is people are merely a reflection of you. The third one is when the pressure is on you, start and the pressure will be off. The fourth is there's a way through every block. And the fifth is if you vibrate through the cosmos will clear the path. So they're interesting concepts. And so and there's something that came across a lot during my Kundalini teacher training. And of course there are things from the text, A Course in Miracles, that reference these 5 sutras. So we're going to move through that. And also, again, when I was thinking about, what am I going to teach with the Course? How am I going to do this? And the first thing I heard was doing was go to the beginning, go to the start. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of go through the preface where it describes what is this Course in Miracles all about. And then that will give us better understanding of how then it also correlates with the sutras. Cool?
Very cool.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, so let's start with the first one again. Understand the times with compassion, or you will misunderstand the times. So what that really is coming down to is the same principle in A Course in Miracles, this idea of understand love, or you will misunderstand it all. Right? It is vital for us as human beings having a spiritual experience to separate from this idea that it has to be all about me. So that's where it gets confusing, because you're like, wait a minute, if I'm my own teacher, if all the answers are from within, then it should be all about me, right? No, the reason that we want to be our own teacher, the reason that we want to find our own answers from within is so that we can look at that with such a sense of gratitude, such a sense of compassion, that all we have to do when we want the answers in life, all we have to do when we feel lonely or afraid or confused is to go within. How humbling is that? How amazing is that? How much awe can you be of the fact that all you have to do is look within and there is the love that you have been seeking? So when you can look at the love within, you can look at the love without, and that starts creating a trend. That starts creating more levels of positive vibrations. That starts creating the compassion, and we're able to see beyond the misunderstanding or it has to be all about me, or what did you do to me, how did you wrong me, and bring it back to this concept of love. So it's basically just a way to realize that when we don't look at things in the eyes of love, then it's basically all chaos, and everyone's running amok, and we're all confused, and we're just like nuts. So, because really all we're doing when there's chaos, it's all of us trying to justify our own fears. That's all that chaos is, right? It's all of us running around thinking that we know best without actually even checking in to see if we actually even know it all. And so it's differentiating from all of that. And then the second sutra, recognizing that the other person is you, falls along that as well, right? It's this idea that really what you see in another person, what you judge in another person, what upsets you in another person is merely just you, right? I mean, it took me a while to really understand what that concept was, because especially, think about your work environment and think about your family. The two areas where you're stuck with people in a room that you did not choose to be with, right? Like your friends, your lovers, like that's something different, at least for the most part, right? But coworkers and family, like it's a crapshoot, right? And so there are definitely going to be people that are going to test you. And there are going to be people that are going to try to demonstrate their power or, their authority or, whatever it may be. And so that's an opportunity, of course, to bring it back to love. That's an opportunity to do the boomerang, which I do very often. I used to do when I worked in a corporate setting a lot. There used to be this one girl that I worked with. I was an administrative assistant, and basically she was as well, but so we would have to work together in a lot of different things, right? But she was always picking on me. She was always putting me down. She was always just like the first to prove me wrong, right? Or try to point out something. And I just would always just be like, why is she doing this to me? Like, why does she want to, why does she hate me so badly? Like, what is it that I'm doing? And I think that was the problem. The problem was that I was never coming back at it with her. So I was giving her power to keep picking on me. I was giving her power to keep making me miserable because I just was letting it happen because I couldn't understand it. So I started to look at it from her perspective, and I started to see what was it about her that I was making her do this to me. And I realized that a lot of it was I was actually miserable at my job. And there were actually a lot of things that I didn't really like about what was going on. And I realized I was letting her be a reflection to the things that I didn't like, and she was then projecting them on me. And I realized that she was probably just as miserable as I was, and she was probably having her own issues of feeling insecure or whatnot. And so the more that I just kind of was like, all right, I'm just going to take what she is bringing my way, put on my shield, deflect it, boomerang back out love, and see what happens. And so I did, and I realized it was working. And whether or not it was that she changed, it was that my perception of the whole situation had changed. And it was my kind of undoing, and it was my belief that if I just keep sending her love, it will be okay. And regardless of how she changed, it was my energy around it. It was my belief that I'm just going to keep sending her love, and that's what I'll get back. And that's what I did, and she stopped bothering me. So boomerang effect works when you realize that the other person is just a reflection of you. You get really clear on where you're really just blocking yourself or where you really are more upset than you realize about something. And then, of course, that just brings us to forgiveness, which is always the gateway to love. Okay, so let's, the preface of A Course in Miracles really has a lot to do with the first two sutras, seeing compassion during these times and seeing at the other person as a reflection of you. So I'm starting on page X or 10 of the preface, where it starts with what it says. Hi guys. Okay, so nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists, and herein lies the peace of God. This is how A Course in Miracles begins. It takes a fundamental distinction between the real and the unreal, between knowledge and perception. Knowledge is truth under one law, the law of love or God. And when we say God in here, you can change it with love, you can look at it as God, you can look at it as higher source, you can look at it as the universe, you can look at it as the almighty Bob, whatever makes sense for you. Okay. Truth is unalterable, eternal, and unambiguous. It can be unrecognized, but it cannot be changed. It applies to everything that God created, and only what He created is real. It is beyond learning because it is beyond time and process. It has no opposite, no beginning, and no end. It merely is. The world of perception, on the other hand, is the world of time, of change, of beginnings and endings. It is based on interpretation, not facts. It is the world of birth and death, founded on the belief in scarcity, loss, separation, and death. It is learned rather than given, selective in its perceptual emphasis, unstable in its functioning, and inaccurate in its interpretations. So when we talk about this idea of perception, what we're talking about is this idea that we were born with infinite possibilities. We were born with everything that we need to survive, right? We were given everything. We had nothing to worry about at all. We felt a little bit cold, so we screamed, but that was about it, right? And soon we got what we needed. So then we kind of carried this concept, well, if I scream and yell, then maybe that's how I'll get what I need. Instead of realizing that actually we're in a space where everything is always provided to us no matter what. Everything is always given. And as soon as we start to think that we're separate from that, as soon as we start to think that we are not infinite, as soon as we start to think that we are limited, that we are the victim, then we separate from love and our needs are no longer supplied. And now we are getting proof to validate that we are not taken care of. And that is how we start to learn fear, and that is how we start to learn that there is scarcity in the unknown, or that when we are upset, it's just going to perpetuate what it is that we've already come to know, the stories that we've come to believe, and we'll just keep that going, and there's this momentum then that's created. And we've completely forgotten that we are here because we are a source of love. And we've all felt those moments of love in our life, right? How many of you have felt those moments of just pure love, like pure, just, oh my freaking God, right? Like capital L love. But for some reason we doubt that experience so much. Time and time again we need to be tested, or time and time again we need to prove it wrong. Why are we trying to prove what love is wrong? Why are we fighting so hard to get away from what it is that we want more than anything else, that what we believe to feel so freaking good? And it's just because of these fears we picked up along the way, and this attempt to keep the dream alive when the dream isn't real at all. And so it's, again, realizing that in these times, we need to look at our own life and the lives of others with compassion, so that we are creating a parallel between what it is that we want and what it is that they want, or may not even know what that could be. So from knowledge and perception, respectively, two distinct thought systems arise, which are opposite in every respect. In the realm of knowledge, no thoughts exist apart from God, because God and his creation share one will. The world of perception, however, is made by the belief in opposites and separate wills, in perpetual conflict with each other and with God. What perception sees and hears appears to be real because it permits awareness only what conforms to the wishes of the perceiver. This leads to a world of illusions, a world which needs constant defense precisely because it is not real. So again, it's this idea that we are trying to get validation so badly for something that isn't even working because we don't know any better. And so all we can do is just keep our misillusions alive. It's like being in a relationship when you know that it's not working and yet you don't know anything else outside of it. So what do? You choose to stay in what you know, because at least what you know is safe. Whether you like what's happening or don't, you know it and you have some sense of control. But when you separate from what you know, then you're in the unknown, and then that's where fear comes in, and we forget that we actually have love that we can rely on, and we forget that there is this act of compassion out in the world if we just give it a chance. And so that's why we stay in these stuck relationships, that's why we stay in these stuck jobs, because the fear of the unknown is too great. The fear of what could go wrong is too extreme, and we've completely lost sight of the fear of what could go, or the trajectory of what could go right, or the belief that something better is there, or that there could be an opportunity that we could obtain that would be so much greater than we ever could account for. And so the Course continues, when you get caught in the world of perception, you are caught in a dream. So when you are caught up in your own mind, when you are caught up in your own thoughts, when you are caught up in your own illusions, you are in this dreamlike world that isn't really real, so to speak. So this dream is it sounds weird, right? But it's like this dream is this earthly reality. But what is really real is the love of God and the love of why we are here. So when we can tread on this plane of being in the love and being completely at ease by it, then things can go well. We can get into that vibration of things moving along smoothly. But when we allow ourselves to be in the dream, when we allow ourselves to manage our own life, things get over-perfectionized, over-idealized, over-complicated. Nobody quite understands you, and we go back to victim again. And so dreams sound great in theory, but really they're just a space for us to kind of be the victim, as opposed to just letting it all go and seeing what it would be like if we let a force greater than us, that force of love, come through and go from there and see what happens. But again, that means us being willing to let go. That means us being open to something that is bigger than us and not holding on so tightly. There's this image I saw once of someone, like, it was like holding a rope, and they were holding the rope, and they were holding it so tightly, and their hands were red, right? And then as soon as they let go of the rope, their hands were healed, and they were free, and they were happy, and they were, light. And so you don't have to hold the rope so tightly. It hurts. So stop doing that to yourself. All right. You can escape without help, because everything your senses show merely witnesses to the reality of the dream. God has provided the answer, the only way out, the true helper. It is the function of his voice, his Holy Spirit, to mediate between the two worlds. And this is what I love what the Course has to say about the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit is like the ultimate, middleman, like the person that's going to kind of swoop in to actually make some of this stuff tangible, to actually make what it is that we're trying to figure out. How do we jump from where we are now and we're feeling stuck to this idea of love and really being in it? Holy Spirit's got your back on this. Like, Holy Spirit's like, I will hook you up. I've got direct access to this universal force that is happening up there. I'll let you in the club, and I'll show you the way. And so Holy Spirit is a great resource for that, for us. Holy Spirit is kind of the bouncer that lets us into this love club up in the universe. And so put your name on the list and you're in, no problem. All right. So the Holy Spirit can do this because while on one hand he knows the truth, on the other he also recognizes our illusions, but without believing in them. So he can, Holy Spirit can hang out in this realm, and he can see, how crazy we're being, but won't get caught up in it all, right? He won't, opt into peer pressure. He still is, so connected to Spirit and, the universe that, you can't seduce Holy Spirit into this world. Not gonna happen. So that's why he's awesome, too. Okay. And it's not even a he, because to Holy Spirit there is no male or female, right? It's they're both good. Asexual over here. All right. Holy Spirit is asexual. I'm bispiritual. Holy Spirit's asexual. Man. That, I'm telling you, the club is crazy. The after hours club that we all hang out in. It's crazy. Okay. But yeah. Okay. So, it is the Holy Spirit's goal to help us escape from the dream world by teaching us how to reverse our thinking and unlearn our mistakes. Forgiveness is the Holy Spirit's great learning aid in bringing this reversal about. However, the Course has its own definition of what forgiveness really is, just as it defines the world in its own way. And just as the Aquarian Sutran says that, you have to have compassion or you'll misunderstand at times. This idea that forgiveness is the gateway to love. That's how you get there. The world we see merely reflects our own internal frame of reference, the dominant ideas, wishes, and emotions in our minds. Projection makes perception. We look inside first, decide the world that we want to see, and then project that world outside, making it the truth as we see it. We make it true by our interpretations of what it is we are seeing. If we are using perception to justify our own mistakes, our anger, our impulses to attack, our lack of love in whatever form it may take, we will see a world of evil, destruction, malice, envy, and despair. All this we must learn to forgive, not because we are being good or charitable, but because what we are seeing is not true. We have distorted the world by our twisted defenses and are therefore seeing what is not there. As we learn to recognize our perceptual errors, we also learn to look past them or forgive. At the same time, we are forgiving ourselves, looking past our distorted self-concepts to the self that God created us in. So basically, this is saying that when we start to forgive and we start to say, how many of us have gotten to a mess where you're just I don't even know how I got myself so deep in this hole, or right? Oh my God, I don't know how I got myself into this. I don't. We've all had those moments of just pure desperation. Usually it's a rock bottom moment, right? Where we're just what the F is going on? My life has become completely unmanageable, or I did something so offensive or so horrible, or whatever it may be. And we get ourselves into that rock bottom. Well, how can we get ourselves out, right? They say when you're at the bottom, the only way you can go is up. And that is where the forgiveness comes in. And the forgiveness heals all. The forgiveness makes it okay, in the sense that you don't have to keep dwelling on what went wrong or how you got yourself into that mess. That doesn't accomplish anything. If anything, just lets you continue to stay in the mess, right? But when you allow some forgiveness to come in, or some sense of compassion, or the sense of it's going to be okay, you start to train the mind to work with you. And you start to train your mind not to work against you and create more messes, but actually lift you up and rise you up and become your own best friend, become your ally, become your champion, and be something that can align you back to the source and align you back to love, which is in a sense, your truth and really what matters. And it gives you something to work up to and lift up to and aspire to, or else you'll just keep repeating the same patterns, right? I'm sure you've also been in a situation where you're like, how did I get myself in this again, right? Like, same dude, different face, or, different jobs, same boss. It's financial, whatever it may be. We're like, how did I get myself back here again? And it's because we didn't give ourselves the true opportunity to be in the space of forgiveness, to witness what we needed to see, to learn enough to move forward, so that we don't repeat those past situations. They don't even have to be called mistakes or anything negative, just a situation, or it was what it was, or that was just a dream, right? And using, again, the mind in a way that can help us and work for us, and not come from a place of judgment of being like, of course you got yourself back into this mess again, or of course you're with a guy like this again, like that's all you know, and that's like you just keep doing it, and what's wrong with you? You're not getting anywhere. You're just getting deeper and deeper in the hole, and you're going more and more mad, and you're going more and more in your own disillusioned self. And so allowing yourself to be patient, yes, or no, that's not what someone said, but patient, then you will continue to just align yourself back to this idea of love, and it will allow you to also be more open to communicating with Spirit, and letting God in, and letting Holy Spirit help you out, and letting your angels, or whatever it is that you feel that is a higher source to help you, can come through when you disengage from all the chatter and the sirens. Then you can get real help. Okay, so sin is defined as a lack of love. Since love is all there is, sin is the sight of the Holy Spirit, is a mistake to be corrected, rather than an evil to be punished. Our sense of inadequacy, weakness, and incompletion comes from the strong investment in the scarcity principle that governs the whole world of illusions. From that point of view, we seek in others what we feel is wanting in ourselves. We love another in order to get something ourselves. That, in fact, is what passes for love in the dream world. There can be no greater mistake than that, for love is incapable of asking for anything. So this goes back to the idea of unconditional love, right? It's when you are in a space of love, you need nothing and you want nothing, because you're good. You're just plugged in, and you're like, I'm groovy right now. Like, this feels awesome. Think about like a really groovy meditation, or just a moment in your life where you've just felt so at peace. And that's because you've cleared the space. You've allowed yourself to just be, to extend, to open up, and not feel so clogged down. Because when you're clogged down, you need help. You're like, help me, I feel heavy, I feel at unease, I just don't feel comfortable, so I need help. But when you get yourself into that place where you've gotten the help, and now you can be in the freedom of what you've allowed yourself to align with, then you can really tap in and plug into Source. And even if it's just for a few moments, it feels freaking amazing. And you know that you always have an opportunity to go right back to it if you so choose. Then moving on, only minds can really join, and whom God has joined no man can put asunder. It is, however, only at the level of Christ's mind that true union is possible, and has in fact never been lost. The little I seeks to enhance itself by external approval, external possessions, and external love. The self that God created needs nothing. It is forever complete, safe, loved, and loving. It seeks to share rather to get, to extend rather than project. It has no needs and wants to join others out of their own mutual awareness of abundance. So this is that idea of, honestly, like heaven on earth, right? Heaven on earth is that idea that you need not nothing, and that everything just is, and you are taken care of, and all is well, and that is the space of abundance. And abundance, again, in our society, we attach abundance now to the idea of money, right? If I am abundant, then that means I have lots of money. In this case, though, abundance, sure, that could be an aspect, but abundance is more about I am supported. So I am supported in the sense of my health. I am supported in the sense of having a ground that I can sleep on. I'm supported in the sense of having food to eat, of having people around me that bring me joy. That is abundance, and that is abundance in a universal sense. You are abundance when you can look at the riches in your life outside of finances. If it happens to be finances too, then wonderful. But as long as you're being supported, as long as you are not in fear of lack, then you are abundant, right? This is all about opposites. This is all about, looking at the moments in your life where you're feeling in the wrong or in the lack or without, and seeing, actually, where am I with? What do I have? What is there that is going for me that feels like this idea of love? I'm going from there. Okay, so then let me see if there's anything else I want to say about this. How am I doing? All right? Good. Yeah? Okay. Thanks, guys. Okay. Let me see if there's something I missed that I want to say. Okay, so let's move into the third and fourth sutras are closely connected too. So the third, again, being, when the pressure is on you, start, and the pressure will be off. So when the pressure is on you, start, and the pressure will be off. And then the fourth one is, there's a way through every block. When you're feeling pressure, start, pressure will be off, because you're creating some kind of movement, right? You're creating some kind of action. You're creating some heat. When you're stuck, you continue to stay stuck and nothing happens. When you move, you create an opportunity for things to get stirred up, to get more clues, to get more clarity, and to go forward. Even if you start moving and you realize that you're moving in the wrong direction, at least you know that you're in the wrong direction so you can go the other way. When you're stuck, you're just kind of like, I have no freaking clue what's going on here, right? Like I don't even know. But at least when you're going the wrong way, you'll be like, all right, I can rule that one out. Let's go that way and see what happens, yeah? And then there's a way through every block. There is. There is a way through every block. There is a way through every moment where you feel uneasy or you feel like you don't know what's going on. And so the Course in Miracles and Kundalini can help you realize how to do these things. So all I did for the next kind of couple sutras we're going to talk about is just really pull from the first chapter in the Principles of Miracles. And I just kind of scanned through them and was seeing the ones that related to what we were talking about. So this first concept, when the pressure is on you, start and the pressure will be off. And again, you're like, well, where do I start? Where do I even begin? It doesn't matter. Just pick something. The very first principle of Course in Miracles, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same, and they are all expressions of love in a maximal way. So realizing, again, when you're feeling overwhelmed and you don't know what's going on, you don't know what to do, just pick one thing. What stands out to you the most right now, right? When you have the big to-do list, what do? You pick either the easiest one or the most difficult, whatever you're feeling in that moment. Just pick something. And then at least, again, you're creating that idea of movement. The cosmos love movement, right? Think about the sky and astrology and the stars and the sun and the moon. They have to move. If the sun one day was just like, I'm having a bad day, I don't really want to rise up, like, what would we do? We'd all be running around like crazy people, right? Because, oh, the sun didn't want to move today. I guess I'm just going to have to get on my flashlight, right? Like the sun's going to get up and it's going to move, and the moon is going to do the same thing, and the flowers are going to grow, and whatever needs to happen will happen, because that is nature. Nature is movement. Nature is growth. And if nature doesn't grow, it will die, right? It will get stuck and it will die. And then, of course, that death will give an opportunity for rebirth, but we're not in that place right now. We're in a place of understanding that if we are going to be in this experience, whatever it may be, we are a part of nature, and being a part of nature makes us have to move, and we have to expand, because if we don't make any progress, and what's the point of being here, right? And then it sounds morbid, but it's kind of true. It's like, well, what are you here to do? If are you just here to sit on the couch and watch soap operas all day? Is that why you were put here? I mean, maybe if you're like a soap opera screenwriter, but otherwise, at least they're doing something, right? But again, it's looking at the movement in your life in your own way, right, as it applies to you, and you know when you are growing, and you know when you're choosing not to, right? We have those moments too. And that doesn't mean that it's an opportunity to be hard on yourself, right? Because then the ego's like, ooh, you're not doing anything, you're not moving, like you're creating all of this, right? And again, then it wants to look at you. You're just getting back into another mess. Where are you going with your life? What are you doing? You are just stuck. There is no other way, right? It's going to start to convince you otherwise. And again, that's an opportunity to be like, no, I'm going to see a way through this block. whatever that may be, I'm just going to start with something. And maybe that even just means calling up a friend and be like, I just need to talk to someone, right? It doesn't always mean making an action step forward. It can just mean getting help or whatever, just something, or going for a run. Create movement in that way, right? When you can't create a movement internally, do it externally, right? Move your body, dance. I'm a big believer in that. Yogi Bhajan said you should dance 11 minutes every day, and you will always be funky. He was the 70s, Pow, pow. Okay, so another thing too is when we realize that there's no order in the difficulty of miracles, when we realize that there really is no problem bigger than another, right? Whether you're CEO of a company and you just like completely embezzled or did something like scandalous, or you're 5 years old and you took a piece of candy from the store, there's really no judgment there. Like they're both equally the same kind of issue at hand, and they both need to be worked at, right? And that's really what it comes down to. But there's no level of that's more good or that's more bad or this is more right or this is more wrong. It just simply is. And then it's about, again, how do we go from here? What needs to happen? So realizing that. And the more you realize that all you have to do is create movement to get unstuck, that expands time for you too. You start to find that you have more time to do things. Think about when you're really healthy and you're eating well and you're treating your body well and you're being positive and you're meditating and you're doing all these things. You feel more creative and you feel like you have more time on your hands, right? But when you're not taking care of yourself and you're eating more, drinking more, going out, hanging out with people that have toxic patterns or language, then you start to realize like, oh, I never have any time anymore. Like, I can't get my life together because I don't have time, right? I'm working all the time, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. When you allow yourself to create movement in a positive way, you expand time, and things open up, and you're restoring order, essentially. So basically, there's a way through every block. Another principle of the miracles is prayer is a medium for miracles. So when you really don't know, and you're just like, I am so blocked right now, I am so completely stuck, that is an opportunity for prayer, which is an opportunity for surrender. Because when we're praying to that idea of love. We're praying to that concept of God or higher source or whatever it is, that cosmic creator that you feel. That is, a prayer is an opportunity to surrender. It's an opportunity to release, and it's an opportunity to ask that what is happening to you that you do not like, that you feel unknown with or scared or whatever, be taken away. And be taken away in the sense of, just show me. I am willing to receive. I am willing to know the way. Allow me to just be guided and be shown. And so when you really are in a place where you don't know how to get through that block, that's when you bring in prayer. And that's when you open up. That's when you surrender. And that's where the miracle can happen. Because in that space of complete trust and complete openness, a source greater than you can come through. And a miracle can intervene, and you will be led to love, and you'll be restored. Oh, thanks. So another principle, number 23, miracles rearrange perception and place all levels in a true perspective. This is healing because sickness comes from confusing the levels. So again, this idea of the more that we rearrange how we're perceiving things and stop doing it from the agenda of the ego, we start to restore order, bring it back to love, and bring it back to a way that actually is more manageable if we give ourselves the patience and the space for it to reorganize and orchestrate in that way. Miracles represent freedom from fear. It's another good one, right? Like, again, opposites, right? What is the opposite of freedom? Fear, right? Like trapped, stuck, in jail, pissed off. All these things. And so again, when we allow ourselves to shift into the concept of I can be free, things can be light, life can be easy, I can identify with love, you start to change things around. You start to become less of the victim. You start to become less of the prisoner of your own mind and become more of the owned angel of your heart. And by recognizing Spirit, Holy Spirit, my dude, the bouncer, miracles adjust the levels of perception and show them in proper alignment. So again, Holy Spirit can come and be like, all right, what needs to be taken out here that isn't serving you? Who's been, knocking you around? I'll get them out of the way, and let's get things back to the way they're supposed to be, all right? So just ask Holy Spirit to help you out, and he will come in, he'll hook you up, and show you the way. And then I like number 37, too. A miracle is a correction introduced into false thinking by me. So again, a lot of what is holding us back is our own false perceptions, is our own thinking that it has to be a certain way, or if he doesn't look like X, Y, and Z, then he's not the one, right? Well, he's not 6'4". Too bad. Guess I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. There goes, the marriage was a nice idea, but it's not for me. God won't give me, a giant. So, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. But when we can let something else in and see that, maybe we can settle for 6'2". You got
a Danielle for president.
Danielle for president. Oh my gosh. Mercurio Care, 2017. But yeah, so, I don't know what I was saying, but yeah, false thinking, and just thinking that we know what's best for us. Do we really? I don't know. All right. And again, a miracle is a learning device that lessens the need for time. So again, this idea that when we just open up and say, who am I to know? Show me the way. Time will be expanded. You will be led on a more healthy, more prosperous path, and things reorganize, and it's beautiful. Okay, so then let's go to the last sutra, which is vibrate with the cosmos, and the cosmos shall clear the way. So I did my Kundalini training at Golden Bridge with Gurmukh, and Gurmukh is a student of Yogi Bhajan's, and he found her back in like the 80s, and she trained under him, and she's like a super rock star in the Kundalini world. So I did my teacher training with her. She was fabulous. And so what she had us do the very first weekend of our teacher training was act out the 5 sutras. So each team, it was like a team of 6 of us in each group, had to act out the different sutras, and then as a class we had to guess, like, oh, that one's a way through every block, or, whatever. So my group got vibrate with the cosmos, and the cosmos shall clear the path, yeah. And old man Danielle over here is like, oh, all right, let's do a little vibrations here, right? But what we wound up doing was 5 of us were all standing, we were shaking, like we were vibrating, right? We were lined up. And this one person kept trying to get through, and she kept trying. We were just standing there vibrating, but she couldn't get through. And it wasn't until she took a step back and was like, wait a minute, they're all shaking and vibrating. Maybe I'll do that too. So then she started shaking and vibrating, and then the path was cleared, right? But and why I'm sharing this is because it's kind of a more literal perspective of the idea that, okay, you just got to get on the vibration of everyone, of the cosmic energy, of this love. And once you can get into the vibration of love, then everything is clear. Everything is open, and the path is yours, and it's more direct. So it's this idea that maybe the reason why love isn't presenting itself, or maybe the reason why the path isn't being cleared, is because you're not allowing it to. Because you're in a different vibrational energy. You're in a different space than everybody else. And so maybe if you just allow yourself to be up there with it, and maybe that takes a little bit of work, but keep asking, show me how to vibrate. Holy Spirit, help me out here. This girl needs to get her vibration on. Help me. And you will be shown the way. You'll be given the tools that you need so that you can vibrate out to the world.
Vibrating tomorrow.
Yeah. Vibrating with Holy Spirit. All right, Holy Spirit provides me the tools I need so I can vibrate higher. You can quote me on that. So realizing that again, and then I want to. Principle number 16 goes with that too. Miracles are teaching devices for demonstrating it as a blessed to give as it is to receive. They simultaneously increase the strength of the giver and supply strength to the receiver. So there you have it. Those are the 5 Aquarian Sutras as they relate to A Course in Miracles. And so you can start to see that all these different tools, all these different spiritual modalities, all do kind of come back to one particular thing, and that is that of love. That is that of purity. That is that of this idea that there is this cosmic creator, there is this source, there is this movement that is all from this idea of love, that is all from this beautiful, gorgeous seed of love that we are all a part of. And what these teachings are here to allow us to see is that we can go back to love anytime we want, because it is within us. It is how we came to be into this existence. This dream is just something that we created after we came from love. And so how can we restore ourselves back? How can we get ourselves back to where we once were, to this idea that we had that maybe we would come and descend down onto this plane for a while, and we would mess things up, and we would have to learn lessons, and we would be challenged time and time again. But could we figure out a way to get ourselves back to the true source? Could we figure out a way to get back to heaven? Could we find the path that would lead us there? And would we allow ourselves to be connected to the right people that may help us? And again, help us not so that we can put them up on that pedestal, or they can just tell us what to do and we'll follow it and it will all be good. No, it's so that we can be guided back into our own home, into our own heart, into our own soul. And it's a soul coming, if you will, right? When you can allow yourself to be connected back to that love and that idea of it all. So that's why I love this Aquarian age so much, and not to say that there weren't good things that we needed from the age of Pisces. There was a time when you look back at when Jesus was here, he did kind of need to shake things up. And he'd be like, guys, like, we're super barbaric here, right? Like, look what you did to me, right? Like, clearly, like, stuff is not going well here. Like, we're hostile. We're, like, we have completely, like, got it all wrong. So let me kind of, give you some guidelines here. Let me show you the way to love. Allow me to let you see that there's another way. And of course, it's been interpreted, through the Bible and different religions in different ways. But even if you look at religion, if you go back to the purity of it, it always does go back to this idea of love. But so the age of Pisces was necessary for the sense that we did need some more structure. We did need some leaders. We did need some people to help us be organized, to rise and kind of allow us to get back to ourselves. But then, of course, as all things do, it gets out of hand again. And so as we start to move into this Aquarian age and accept it for the next 2,000 years, we are the leaders of it. We are the leaders of this age. We are the ones to be like, yes, I hear the call. I understand that it's not about all the answers being outside of me. It's not about the leaders. It's about me realizing I am a leader, me realizing I am a teacher. And all I have to do is allow myself to be in this gorgeous vibration of love and have a sense of compassion for everyone else. And if I can do that, I can help change the collective consciousness of where we are and where we're going and lead off from there. So, yeah, this is the age of Aquarius. It's good stuff. Yay! Awesome. Do you guys have any questions?
Can you just say 1 and 2 again?
Yes. So, when you look to the times with compassion, or wait, what is it? See how interesting it is that you forget?
I think I did right.
Understand the times with compassion, or you will misunderstand the times. That's what it is. And then recognize the other person is you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Aw, thanks. Understand the times with compassion, or you will misunderstand the times. Thank you, Jen. Does anyone else have any other questions? Otherwise, we'll move into, when Tara comes back, we'll do a meditation. Anyone in Periscope? I saw there were a lot of action. Question. What do you recommend for releasing fear, especially in crazy times we're in work? I mean, okay, so that's a big question. But yes, how do we release fear? How do we, right? Because, I mean, that's the thing. You can say, well, in theory, it sounds good, right? Like, this all sounds great, but how do I actually put it into practice? And that's the first step right there, realizing this is a practice. This isn't something that's going to happen overnight. It might. You could wake up tomorrow and be like, I'm free of fear. Holy Spirit came through last night, and he was vibrating me, let me tell you. And that's wonderful. However, it doesn't always work that way. And so what we want to do is we want to realize this is like a practice that you show up for every day. And so in the beginning, you just want to show up for when you wake up in the morning. Today, I will do my best to release fear, and I ask that a power greater than me help show me the way. And so you're starting to get yourself into this practice that you can release fear, that you have the power. And the power is in the surrender and in the asking. And so the more that you show up for it every day, the more it actually starts to become a real thing for you. This idea that fear could be released actually starts to become something that maybe could be tangible. Because right now it seems really far-fetched to release all your fear, right? It's like, whoa, like physically, mentally, I can't handle that. That's way too much. There's too much unknown. It is not safe. And so you have to slowly let yourself start to catch up to the idea that releasing your fear is safe, that releasing your fear is okay, that releasing your fear is necessary. So every day make a practice to just allow yourself start to get caught up to the notion, and then more and more you'll start to tap into it too. And meditate too. Take care of your headspace. So that's what I would say. All right, so speaking of that, let's close out with our meditation. Let's say anyone has a quick question. We got to wrap. All right, I think we're good. All right, so let's close out. So going back to our relaxed seat, both feet on the ground if you can, palms up in your lap, and just closing your eyes, connecting back to the breath again. Breathing in through the nose, letting that air fill through you, feeling your body expand, opening up to more, this idea of love, drawing it all in, and exhaling out, releasing that idea of fear, that notion that you're catching up to. And just keep that rhythm of breath, breathing in, feeling the expansion, the openness of love, and breathing out, letting go of the fear. And again, extending that same source of gratitude that you did earlier tonight. That pure part of you that wanted to show up tonight. That Holy Spirit that was looking out for you and brought you here. Help release some of the messes or the regrets. And help to see that your mind is your ally. That your body is your vessel. And that your heart is your portal to forgiveness, which brings you back to love, back to the light, back to why you are here, and the idea, the notion that you are capable of so much more, that opportunities are your abundance and are available to you at every corner. You just simply must believe and know that every moment that you don't is an opportunity to go back to that belief. And again, you will be restored. You will be in love. And what you desire becomes your truth. Breathing in again, long and deep, holding this breath, holding this space together, vibrating out this love. And with the exhale, surrendering, letting go. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, come back in. Thank you all. Thank you guys for joining me here. Thank you all on Periscope for watching. Yes, so $10 donation. If anyone's watching on Periscope and you want to contribute, you can message me or PayPal me. danellemercurio.com. I'll post how you can make a donation. Or I'm on Venmo. You're welcome to do so if you enjoyed this scope. So thank you guys so much for joining. This was great. And if anyone really wants to connect me, easiest way, come on Facebook, Cosmic Astrology Club. Join my group. And we'll connect from there. So thanks for tuning in. Yay! Yay! Okay, cool.
That was awesome.
Yeah.